I almost didn't know what I wanted to say. I was almost scared.
Selena Gomez just exposed the disturbing truth about what happened between Diddy and young Justin Bieber.
Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy.
Right after this video emerged, the internet was enveloped with terrifying allegations about what Diddy did to young Justin Bieber. However, that did not prepare anyone for the scalding tea that Selena Gomez is spilling. Diddy's trial officially kicked off on May 5th, 2025, with jury selection at the Daniel Patrick Moynihan Courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Opening statements began on May 12th, 2025, and it's expected to last around 8 weeks. The trial is open to the public but prohibits cameras and electronic devices, which means we're relying on reporters inside the courtroom to give us the tea. And honey, that tea is scalding hot. Diddy is facing some serious charges here. And when I say serious, I mean the kind that could put him behind bars for the rest of his life. We're talking 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, which carries a potential life sentence, 2 counts of sex trafficking, each with a minimum 15-year sentence, 2 counts of transportation for prostitution, up to 10 years each. According to the indictment, Diddy allegedly ran a criminal enterprise involving sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. He's been held without bail since his arrest on September 16, 2024, with the judge deeming him a flight risk. His defense team, led by attorneys Mark Anthony Agnifilo and Tenny Garagos, with recent addition Brian Steele, known for representing Young Thug, has rejected a plea deal and is arguing that any relationships were consensual. They've claimed Diddy led a swinger lifestyle and are suggesting there's racial targeting involved in the prosecution. The jury selection process has faced challenges, with the court struggling to reach a pool of 45 qualified prospective jurors. As of May 7th, 2025, they had qualified 35 jurors, with the judge aiming to add 10 more. Potential jurors have been questioned about their knowledge of the case, including exposure to media like the documentary The Fall of Diddy, and were provided a list of over 100 names and places that might come up during the trial, including celebrities like Michael B. Jordan and Kanye West. What's particularly interesting is the presence of Diddy's family members in the courtroom. His mother, Janice Combs, attended the April 18, 2025 pre-trial hearing wearing sunglasses and a bright blonde bob. According to reports, Diddy was wearing a blue sweater, white shirt, and glasses during that appearance. Quite a different look from his usual flashy style. But what people really want to know about is the evidence and testimonies coming out in court. And let me tell you, they are shocking to say the least. Several witnesses have already taken the stand, including Israel Flores, a Los Angeles police officer who was working security at the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016. He testified about responding to a distress call following a video capturing Combs assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. According to CNN, Flores recounted seeing Ventura with a purple eye, her desire to leave, and Combs offering cash, which he interpreted as a bribe. Then there's Daniel Phillip, a male review manager who testified about his paid sexual encounters with Cassie Ventura in 2012. He stated that Combs was present, directed the encounters, and recorded them, even taking Phillip's driver's license as a threat. Phillip also witnessed Combs allegedly dragging Ventura by her hair and noted that Ventura appeared drugged during one encounter. But the prosecution's case seems to be centered around 2 key accusers, referred to as Cassie Ventura and Jane, victim 2. Cassie, Diddy's former girlfriend, is expected to be a pivotal witness, with allegations dating back over a decade. Her husband, Alex Fine, was spotted in the courtroom, suggesting her testimony is imminent. Notably, there's also victim 3, who was listed in the indictment but may not testify. Fox News reported that prosecutors revealed on May 9, 2025, that they cannot locate her, which could impact the case significantly. The FBI raids on Diddy's homes in March 2024 revealed some eye-opening evidence, including AR-15 style guns, large capacity magazines, and perhaps most infamously, over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. This last detail has become a focal point in media coverage and has led to endless memes and jokes online. Diddy's legal troubles aren't limited to this criminal case either. He's facing over 63 civil lawsuits as of April 2025, with allegations dating back to the 1990s. These claims range from sexual assault to physical violence, with some involving minors. This all sounds bad, right? Well, his defense team isn't backing down. They've acknowledged that Diddy has a history of violence, but deny the sex trafficking allegation. Their strategy seems to be to separate his admittedly immoral behavior from the criminal charges he's facing. According to reports from the courtroom, they're telling jurors just because it's immoral doesn't mean it's criminal. But with new witnesses taking the stand each day and shocking details emerging about Diddy's alleged freak-offs, which we'll get into in part 2, the trial is rapidly becoming one of the most closely watched celebrity cases in recent memory. In our next segment, we'll dive deeper into the shocking testimonies coming out in court about what allegedly happened at these infamous freak-offs. Trust me, you do not want to miss it. The details are absolutely wild and will have your jaw on the floor. The prosecution's opening statement set the tone for what would be a series of jaw-dropping revelations. They introduced the concept of freak-offs, allegedly multi-day drug-fueled sessions organized by Diddy that involved coerced sexual activities. According to Lauren LaRosa, who's been reporting from inside the courtroom for the Breakfast Club, the prosecutors didn't hold back.
So they dropped a big bomb when they mentioned that Cassie will testify that a male escort performed a sexual act that required him to urinate. That would stop people in their tracks for sure.
I'm sorry, but what? I don't even have words. And that's just the beginning of the allegations. LaRosa continued with more disturbing details about an alleged incident involving Cassie.
He grabs his gun. Two of his staff members, one of the staff members said that she did not want to go, and allegedly she was forced to go, so they labeled that kidnapping. And they went to this man's house looking for Cassie in this rage. Cassie wasn't there, and it was like all hell broke loose.
This testimony paints a picture of someone with explosive anger issues and a willingness to use intimidation and force to get his way. Not exactly the image of a music mogul we were sold for decades, is it? But perhaps the most compelling testimony so far has come from a male escort, Daniel Phillip, who claimed to have been involved in these freak-offs with Diddy and Cassie. LaRosa shared details about his appearance in court.
They called this guy. Which witness y'all want to go with first, the male escort or the LAPD officer?
Whatever's more entertaining.
The male
They're
escort.
both entertaining. Okay, so the male escort.
She described his physical appearance and how he came to be involved with Diddy and Cassie.
He met them was through his boss. So his boss came to him one day and said, look, I have this couple who wants to do something for the wife. It's a bachelorette party.
But what was framed as a bachelorette party turned out to be something very different. And she's like, listen, your boss told me that I'm supposed to give you $200. Ain't this what he's alleging? And instead she gives him $4,000. She's like, I want to explain to you what's about to happen. The escort then described what allegedly happened when he entered the hotel room.
And that him and Cassie had sex on the couch in that hotel allegedly, and that the whole time Puff sat in the corner and masturbated.
Executive producer, that's what they call it.
I mean, executive producing? That's a new euphemism I never wanted to hear. That's like calling a tornado a surprise outdoor redecorating event. Way too cutesy for something so disturbing. What makes this testimony particularly damning is that it corroborates many of the claims made in Cassie Ventura's lawsuit against Diddy, which was filed in November 2023 and settled out of court the next day. According to reports, that quick settlement might have been a strategic error on Diddy's part. Had he fought the case, perhaps the allegations would have stayed contained to a civil matter. Instead, the lawsuit seems to have opened the floodgates, with dozens more accusers coming forward and federal authorities launching an investigation that led to the raids on his properties in March 2024. Perhaps the most shocking testimony so far has come from Cassie herself, who allegedly took the stand recently. According to LaRosa, she broke down the freak-offs into disturbing steps.
But she broke the freak-offs down in steps as well. She said that the first step was there was like masturbation, and they would have to do masturbation. It would be her and the escort, and she would have to talk out loud and describe what she was seeing.
She continued with more disturbing details.
She says that, it was very well choreographed. Like, it was almost, when she was describing it, I was like, it sounds like he was shooting a music video.
Executive producer.
No, for real. She says that, there were certain supplies that they would have, right? So they would do candles as the lighting, and it would always be like Glade, or there was another brand that she mentioned because he wanted it to smell a certain way. And then she
Glade.
then she says that they would get extra linens, and we've heard this story, but she said that because we heard before that there were extra linens because
It's Dookie on the sheets.
So what she said was she was actually made to have freak-offs during her period.
The testimony also included details about supplies used at these events. This testimony about baby oil aligns disturbingly well with the evidence found during the raids on Diddy's properties, those infamous 1,000 plus bottles of baby oil that have become a central talking point in media coverage of the case. The prosecution has also introduced evidence about Diddy's behavior outside of these freak-offs. A particularly damning piece of evidence is a 2016 surveillance video that shows Diddy assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway. This video, which was released in May 2024, shocked the public and seemed to validate many of Cassie's claims about physical abuse. They've also shown how Diddy allegedly used his business empire, including Bad Boy Entertainment, to facilitate and conceal abuse. According to the indictment, he allegedly employed staff members to arrange logistics, contact victims, and help conceal the abuse. Another chilling piece of evidence is a resurfaced 2002 interview where Diddy jokes about locking women in at his parties.
They just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave. Right. Gotta keep them there. Right. You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
He also explained why he kept his parties hot with no air conditioning.
It's a little kinky, but
Yeah.
rock with me. But just check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat. You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose.
I don't know about you, but making your guests uncomfortable by cutting off the AC so they get loose doesn't exactly scream host of the year to me. That's like inviting people over for dinner and then hiding all the forks so they have to eat with their hands. Except, way more sinister. So how is Diddy's defense team responding to all of this? According to La Rosa, they're taking an unusual approach. She continued, whether the jury buys it remains to be seen. But according to La Rosa, the defense team has been effective in cross-examining witnesses. The trial is expected to last around 8 weeks, with more witnesses scheduled to testify. The prosecution claims to have substantial evidence, including videos, audio recordings, and real-time messages, to support their case. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team is fighting back, questioning the credibility of witnesses and challenging the interpretation of events. As the trial continues, we can expect more shocking revelations and testimonies. The case has already sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, with many celebrities distancing themselves from Diddy and the narrative around his legacy dramatically shifting. Let's dive into perhaps the most talked about aspect of the Diddy scandal, the allegations involving young stars, particularly Justin Bieber and Usher, and those infamous freak-offs that multiple witnesses have described. Let's start with Justin Bieber, since his name has been floating around in connection with this case for months now. For those who need a refresher, Justin was just 15 years old when he began spending time with Diddy, who was in his 40s at the time. There's an infamous video from 2009 where Diddy talks about having Justin for 48 hours and saying it was a 15-year-old's dream.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
In the same video, Diddy then compares the situation to his relationship with Usher.
I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher. I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
This comparison to Usher is particularly disturbing given what Usher has since revealed about his time living with Diddy. In a 2016 interview, Usher described his experience.
Moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
When asked about what he experienced there, Usher shared some concerning details.
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
Nah, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty.
And when asked if he would ever send his own kid to Puffy Camp, Usher's response was definitive.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
Given these revelations from Usher, it's not surprising that people have been concerned about Justin Bieber's relationship with Diddy. The speculation reached fever pitch after a viral AI-generated song falsely attributed to Bieber started circulating with lyrics suggesting something inappropriate happened at a Diddy party. Forbes reported that this fake song sparked over 4,500 TikTok videos, and experts at CBS News confirmed it wasn't actually Bieber's work, but the damage was already done. The speculation was everywhere. Then there's Suge Knight's claims, who, by the way, is currently incarcerated. In an interview, he alleged that Diddy molested both Bieber and Usher, and sent Bieber on vacations with older men under the pretext of mentorship. But in a surprising twist, Justin's representatives released a statement on May 16, 2025, denying that he was a victim. Although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus away from this reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. This statement is interesting for several reasons. First, it explicitly denies that Justin was a victim, which should put those rumors to rest. But second, it acknowledges that there are victims, just that Justin isn't one of them. It's like they're saying, hey, we believe the allegations against Diddy are real, but Justin wasn't involved. According to sources who spoke to TMZ and Daily Mail, Bieber is disturbed by the allegations against Diddy, but has chosen to keep his distance from the whole situation. He's focusing on his family, including his son Jack, who was born in August 2024. Us Weekly reported that Bieber is in a hard place due to his history with Diddy. The magazine quoted a source saying, "It would be an understatement to say that Justin is in a hard place surrounding the Diddy allegations. Their history is complicated." Complicated is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence, don't you think? What exactly makes their history complicated? Is it just the normal complications that come with any mentor-mentee relationship, or is there something more sinister at play? This brings us back to the freak-offs that have been central to the trial. Multiple witnesses have described these events in disturbing detail, and it's raised questions about who might have been exposed to this behavior or pressured to participate. A woman named Tanya, who claims to have attended one of these events, shared her experience in a YouTube interview. She described being invited to what she thought was a networking event for Music Ultra Week, only to find herself at one of Diddy's parties. She described an environment that quickly became disturbing. She described a selective process where only certain people were allowed inside the house. Once inside, she witnessed disturbing scenes, and she also felt personally targeted by Diddy. She described feeling like she was being set up, but not everyone has the same story about Diddy's party. Amber Rose, who has attended many of his events, had a different perspective when she appeared on Club Shay Shay. So according to Amber, the freak-offs weren't happening at the regular parties she attended, but she doesn't deny that they might have been happening on different days with select invitees. This aligns with what we're hearing from other witnesses, that Diddy was selective about who got invited to these more private events. Despite her skepticism about some of the allegations, Amber was clear about one thing. The question of who else might have been victimized by Diddy remains open. As noted earlier, his trial involves two main accusers, Cassie Ventura and Jane, victim 2, but prosecutors initially indicated at least 4 accusers. And suggesting they put the drugs in the baby oil. You thinking you getting a massage, bitch? You can't even get up. That's why God gave me eczema. I can't even use baby oil. This brings us back to Justin Bieber and Usher. Given what we know about Diddy's alleged behavior and the accounts from people who were in his orbit, it's not surprising that concerns have been raised about young artists who work closely with him. In Usher's case, he was just 13 when he lived with Diddy, a child being exposed to what he called a pretty wild lifestyle. The power dynamic there is deeply troubling, with a vulnerable teenager potentially being exposed to inappropriate situations. For Justin, who was 15 when he started spending time with Diddy, there's a similar concern about the power dynamic. While his representatives have stated he wasn't a victim, the fact that he's disturbed by the allegations and in a hard place suggests his relationship with Diddy was, at minimum, complicated. These stories highlight a broader issue in the entertainment industry, the vulnerability of young artists, particularly those without strong family support or proper supervision. When powerful figures like Diddy take on mentorship roles, there's an inherent power imbalance that can be exploited. The ongoing trial is likely to reveal more about who might have been victimized by Diddy and how extensive his alleged criminal enterprise was. But even if Justin Bieber wasn't directly victimized, as his representatives claim, the fact that he was exposed to Diddy's orbit at such a young age raises serious questions about the protections in place for child stars. As the Washington Post has reported, Diddy's alleged victims often felt trapped by his power and influence in the industry. Even for established artists, standing up to someone with that much clout would be difficult. For a teenager just starting out, it would be nearly impossible. The trial is expected to continue for several more weeks, with more witnesses taking the stand and additional evidence being presented. As it unfolds, we may learn more about the extent of Diddy's alleged crimes and who else might have been affected by his behavior. For now, though, it's important to remember that while speculation runs rampant, we should focus on the actual evidence being presented in court. Justin Bieber's representatives have clearly stated he wasn't a victim, and we should respect that statement unless evidence emerges to the contrary. What's clear, though, is that Diddy's legacy has been irreversibly damaged. Honors like his honorary doctorate from Howard University have been revoked, the key to New York City rescinded, and his media presence significantly diminished. Radio stations have begun editing songs to remove references to him, and documentaries exploring his alleged misdeeds have been produced. The case serves as a stark reminder of how power can be abused in the entertainment industry and the importance of proper safeguards for young artists. It also highlights how public perception can shift dramatically when allegations come to light, no matter how celebrated a figure might have been previously. As we continue to follow this trial, let's remember to focus on the facts and avoid spreading unfounded rumors or speculation. The justice system will ultimately determine Diddy's guilt or innocence, but the testimonies we've heard so far paint a disturbing picture of a man who allegedly used his power and influence to exploit others for decades. That's all for today's deep dive into the Diddy trial and the allegations involving Justin Bieber and Usher. If you found this video informative, please hit that like button and subscribe for more updates as this case continues to unfold. As always, I'm committed to bringing you the facts without the hype, even if my titles might be a little clickbaity sometimes. Sorry about that. Stay tuned for more updates. And remember, the truth will always come out eventually, no matter how long it takes. If you love this video, click on the card showing on your screen for more videos like this. After years day again, Diddy finally arrested. In a shocking twist, the music industry is rocked as Sean Diddy Combs, the legendary rapper and mogul, has been arrested and charged with sex trafficking. The 54-year-old was detained at the Park Hyatt Hotel in Manhattan, leaving fans and the public in disbelief. This high-profile arrest comes amid a wave of allegations and lawsuits accusing Combs of sexual assault. The charges are serious, and the court has ordered him held without bail. On the morning of Tuesday, September 17th, the music world was shaken to its core. Sean Diddy Combs, a name synonymous with hip-hop royalty, was arrested at the Park Hyatt Hotel in Manhattan. The 54-year-old music mogul, known for his larger-than-life persona and influence in the industry, was taken into custody by officers in a dramatic turn of events. The arrest took place at the luxurious Park Hyatt Hotel, a location that epitomizes the opulence and success that Diddy has enjoyed throughout his career. However, on this fateful day, the hotel became the backdrop for a scandal that would send shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, announced that the arrest was based on a sealed indictment. While the specific charges were not immediately disclosed, the gravity of the situation was evident. With no charges attached to Diddy's name, the internet went wild with speculation. One of the crimes the internet thought Diddy had been arrested for was the assault on his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, which was caught on camera. Although Cassie and Diddy had already settled their case out of court, there was wide speculation that the video may have been used to get Diddy behind bars. The other crime that people thought could have landed Diddy behind bars was Tupac's murder. There has been speculation that the suspect arrested in Tupac's murder, Keffy D, would testify against Diddy. This wouldn't be the first time he turns on Diddy, as he confessed years ago that Diddy wanted Tupac dead and even paid for the hit. According to Keffy D's account, he and Diddy discussed the hit on Diddy's enemies once at a concert in Anaheim and a couple of times at Greenblatt's Deli on the Sunset Strip. He took me downstairs and he's like, "Man, I want to get rid of them dudes, man." I was like, "We'll wipe their ass out quick, man. It's nothing." Keffy D revealed to the feds. He even revealed that Suge Knight was the only on the hit list. Tupac's name was added to the hit list after he made a diss track that publicly and brutally mocked Diddy and his record label. When Combs asked about Shakur and Knight, would he always say both of them? A detective can be heard asking Keffy D during the interrogation. He added the boy Shakur on after he made a record, the ex-gangster replied. Before that, it was just Suge. And then after Hit 'Em Up came out, the detective asked, and Keffy D replied saying, yeah, that pissed Combs off. Most ironically, Keffy D says he never got the money Diddy had allegedly offered him for the hit. According to the ex-gangster, he had asked for $1,001,001 in a meeting prior to Tupac's death. According to Keffi D, word on the street is that Diddy gave half the reward to a man named Eric Von Zip, who never relayed it back to its rightful owner. The most damning information on Diddy's involvement with Tupac's murder was ex-cop Greg Kading's book, Murder Rap, which highlighted Keffi D's confession in detail and even spawned a documentary exposing Diddy, which he has always denied.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to even go there, with all due respect.
But Tupac's death isn't the only strange incident that Diddy has been connected to, as the internet speculated that he could have been arrested for Michael Jackson's murder. As strange as that might sound, the evidence may shock you, and it has everything to do with his head of security, Fahim Muhammad. So who exactly is Fahim Muhammad, and how is he connected to Michael Jackson and Diddy? It turns out that Fahim Muhammad was Diddy's head of security and was key in helping him get away with his crime. Fahim had deep connections within law enforcement and could make any problem disappear. In fact, a damning lawsuit filed by Lil Rod claims that Diddy instructed his employees to call Fahim anytime they were in trouble with the law, and he could make their problems disappear. One of the most disturbing crimes that Lil Rod. He had witnessed Fahim cover-up involved a 2022 incident at Chalice Recording Studio in Hollywood while Diddy was hosting a writers and producers camp. Jones alleges Diddy, his son Justin, and Justin's friend, G, were in a heated conversation in the studio's bathroom when shots rang out. Jones claims the rapper and his son left the bathroom, but G was lying on the floor, holding his stomach and bleeding out of his leg area. Lil Rod says he ran to help the man and sat him on the toilet while calling for others to get an ambulance. Photos in the lawsuit allegedly show G's blood on the studio's restroom floor and toilet stemming from this incident, but when authorities later arrived, Lil Rod says Diddy gave strict instructions to lie to them and say G was shot outside of the studio by a drive-by assailant. According to LAPD's investigation, the victim was shot outside the studio during a robbery and then ran into the studio bleeding. However, Lil Rod says he witnessed the LAPD spend hours in the studio after the shooting, including in the bathroom, and make no arrests. Well, what is strange is that Fahim Muhammad was among the first people on the scene when Michael Jackson died.
Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The cleanup guy, Mr. Fahim Muhammad, was also on the scene when Michael Jackson died.
What is even stranger is the fact that he was only 21 at the time and worked as MJ's head of security. Did Fahim, at 21, have the credentials to protect a pop star of Michael's caliber? What exactly were his qualifications at the time? Well, it turns out just 1 year before MJ's death, Fahim graduated from Sacramento State University with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration with a concentration in real estate and marketing. Why would a business graduate be in charge of the king of pop security? Was Diddy in any way involved? Something obviously seems fishy with the whole situation. It seems Diddy's world crumbled after Lil Rod's lawsuit because it exposed many of his evil dealings. From freak-offs to drugging underage girls, this lawsuit may be the reason Diddy is in cuffs. The Lil Rod lawsuit. The lawsuit that may have finally led to Diddy's downfall was filed by his former producer back in February. After failing to settle the lawsuit out of court, it has been downhill for the music mogul. From feds raiding his home to now being behind bars, Diddy wishes he had settled the lawsuit earlier. Rodney Lil Rod Jones filed the lawsuit accusing Diddy of sexual assault. These allegations span from September 2022 to November 2023. During the production of Diddy's latest album, Lil Rod had been hired to work on Diddy's latest album, a project that required close collaboration and long hours. According to Lil Rod, the first incident occurred during these sessions. In September 2022, Lil Rod alleges that Diddy began making inappropriate advances. He claims that Diddy would grope his genitals and touch his ass, actions that Lil Rod describes as grooming him for sex. These incidents reportedly occurred in the recording studio, where the two spent countless hours working on the album. The allegations continued into October 2022. Lil Rod claims that Diddy would walk around naked in front of him, downplaying these actions as horseplay. According to Lil Rod, this behavior was part of a pattern of inappropriate conduct that made him increasingly uncomfortable. In November 2022, Lil Rod alleges that Diddy subjected him to unwarranted sexual attention from his associates. This includes actor Cuba Gooding Jr. and a female cousin of Diddy's girlfriend, Young Miami. Lil Rod claims that the female cousin once tried to have sex with him in front of Diddy, an incident that left him feeling violated and powerless. The most disturbing allegations come from an incident in February 2023. Lil Rod claims that he was forced to solicit sex workers and perform sex acts with them at Diddy's request. He further alleges that during one of Diddy's infamous drug-rampant parties, he was drugged and raped. Lil Rod recalls waking up naked, dizzy, and confused in bed with Diddy and two sex sex workers. This incident, he says, left him traumatized and fearful for his safety, but there's more. According to Lil Rod, Diddy has been secretly recording explicit sex tapes of various celebrities and politicians using hidden cameras strategically placed throughout his lavish homes during his notorious freak-off parties. While living and traveling with Mr. Combs, Mr. Lil Rod discovered that Mr. Combs has hidden cameras in every room of his homes, the lawsuit read. Mr. Lil Rod believes that Mr. Combs has recordings of defendants Lucian Charles Grange, Ethiopia Habtemariam, as well as other celebrities, music label executives, politicians, and athletes. The implications of these claims are nothing short of staggering. If true, Diddy's secret sex tapes could potentially expose the private lives of some of the most influential and powerful individuals in the world. From A-list celebrities to high-ranking politicians, no one would be safe from the prying eyes of Diddy's hidden cameras. It is important to note that Lil Rod alleges these individuals were recorded without their knowledge or consent, making the situation even more disturbing. The violation of privacy and the potential damage to reputations cannot be overstated. The mere existence of these compromising tapes raises questions about the lengths Diddy was willing to go to obtain such intimate footage. These individuals were recorded without their knowledge and consent, and as is the case with the homosexual sex tape of Stevie J that Mr. Combs provided to Mr. Lil Rod, Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person that has attended his freak-off parties and his house parties. Upon information and belief due to this treasure trove of evidence he has in his possession, Mr. Combs believes that he is above the law and is untouchable, the lawsuit read. Lil Rod alleges that Combs showed him a recording of American DJ, record producer, and television personality Stevie J engaging in anal intercourse with a man. According to Lil Rod, Combs used this recording to manipulate and solicit him, suggesting that such behavior was common in the music industry. Diddy knew Lil Rod looked up to and idolized Stevie J and used the recording loads at 3 in the morning.
Stop bringing all the minors over here late at night. I live right next to him. He do too much. He be like buses, like big ass buses. You can see all type of shit hop out. Especially at nighttime, like around 3 o'clock in the morning. It gets wild. I'm his neighbor.
Diddy's assault charges. But the first time Diddy was ever publicly accused of assault was back in 2019 by his ex-girlfriend Gina Hewin. Gina Hewin, also known as Virginia 5, first came into the public eye when she shared intimate videos of herself and Diddy on her Instagram. These videos, which showed the two getting quite cozy, were quickly taken down, but not before the gossip outlet, The Shade Room, got a hold of them and shared them on their popular social media accounts. This was just the beginning of a series of revelations that would shock the world. Gina Hewin and Diddy had an on and off relationship that spanned several years. According to Gina, their relationship was tumultuous and filled with abuse. She described how Diddy would stomp and hit her, leaving her mentally, emotionally, and physically scarred. One of the most harrowing incidents Hoon described was when Diddy allegedly stomped on her stomach with such force that it knocked the wind out of her.
He like stomped on my stomach like really hard, and I like took the wind out of my breath. I couldn't breathe. He took my hair and like was dragging me across like the grass in my hair.
This horrifying account is just one example of the physical abuse Hoon claims to have suffered at the hands of Diddy. She also alleged that he grabbed her by the hair and punched the back of her head repeatedly.
So I was like laying on my back and he stood over me and he started like punching me like this. Like he avoided my face, but he like started punching me like on the side of my head, and I was just like covering my face.
But the abuse wasn't limited to physical violence. Hoon also described how Diddy subjected her to emotional and mental abuse. She claimed that he would constantly compare her to Cassie, telling her she was the bad one while Cassie was the good one.
He would always compare me to Cassie and tell me that I'm the bad one and she's the good one.
But it turns out that Diddy had been abusing women long before meeting Gina Hewing. In 2023, women started coming forward, accusing him of some pretty wild crimes. The first woman to come forward was Joy Dickerson Neal. The story of Joy Dickerson Neal and Sean Diddy Combs begins in the vibrant and competitive world of the 1990s music industry. Joy Dickerson Neal was part of the same social circle as Diddy, who was then an up-and-coming music mogul. Their paths crossed professionally when they both appeared in the music video for Straight from the Soul by Finesse and Synchris. Joy asserts that despite their professional relationship, she consistently rejected Diddy's persistent advances. She was focused on her career and education, determined to make a name for herself in the industry on her own terms. However, Diddy's interest in her was relentless. On January 3rd, 1991, during a school holiday break, Joy reluctantly agreed to an early dinner with Diddy. They dined at the famous Wells restaurant in Harlem, the home of chicken and waffles since 1983. After their meal, Diddy persuaded Joy to accompany him as he attended to some errands in the city. This seemingly innocent request would lead to events that would change Joy's life forever. She got into his car, a decision she would regret deeply. During their time together, Diddy allegedly drugged her, rendering her unable to stand or walk independently. Joy found herself in a vulnerable and helpless state, unable to comprehend the full extent of what was happening to her. Diddy first drove to a music studio that should have been familiar and safe for Joy. However, in her incapacitated state, she was unable to leave the car. From the studio, Diddy took her to a place he was staying. It was here, away from the public eye and any potential help, that he allegedly sexually assaulted her. The trauma of the assault left Joy in a state of shock and disbelief. She chose not to seek medical attention or report the incident to the police due to fear, shame, or the belief that she would not be believed. Instead, Joy withdrew into self-isolation at her home, grappling with the emotional and psychological aftermath of the assault. Joy confided in her best friend about the alleged assault when she felt safe enough. This act of confiding in someone she trusted was a crucial step in her journey toward healing, but it did not erase the trauma she had endured. The betrayal she felt was compounded when she later discovered that Diddy had secretly recorded the incident without her knowledge or consent. This revelation came from Devontae Swing, a mutual friend, who informed her that Diddy had shown him the tape. When she asked who else had seen the footage, Devontae chillingly responded, "Everyone." Devontae purportedly wanted to take a stand against Diddy, but feared that his band, Jodeci, might lose their record deal. Diddy was Jodeci's A&R at the time, and Devontae's fear of jeopardizing his career led him to remain silent. This betrayal added another layer of trauma to Joy's already devastating experience. The knowledge that her assault had been recorded and shared without her consent was a violation that compounded her suffering. The multiple traumas Joy experienced resulted in severe emotional distress, impacting her mental health, education, and career. The sexual assault, coupled with the humiliation and psychological torment of the video recording, affected her ability to function. She suffered from flashbacks and insomnia, eventually dropping out of school. Struggling with suicidal thoughts, she sought psychiatric care and was diagnosed with clinical depression. Will Joy get justice? Only time will tell. But away from Diddy's physical abuse and sexual misconduct, Diddy has also been accused of attempted murder, a crime that someone else paid the price for. This is none other than the 1999 club shooting at a club in New York. On December 27, 1999, Diddy and his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez had been celebrating a soon-to-be-released album by Shine, Diddy's 21-year-old protege, at Midtown's Club New York. The night started like any other glamorous evening in Manhattan, with Diddy and J-Lo enjoying the vibrant nightlife. Little did they know that the evening would take a dark and tragic turn. As Diddy's entourage was leaving, carrying a bottle of champagne, he accidentally bumped into one of the club's patrons, knocking a drink out of his hand. The man, Matthew Allen, a street tough known as Scar, responded with a shove. Things escalated as one of Allen's companions allegedly threw a stack of money in Diddy's face.
Puffy and Shine allegedly got into an argument with another partier shortly before 3 a.m. Someone tossed a wad of cash at Combs as a sign of disrespect. Suddenly, all hell broke loose.
Suddenly, gunshots shattered the air, cutting through the music and plunging the club into chaos. Amidst the chaos, 3 innocent bystanders found themselves caught in the crossfire. Bullets struck 2 men and a woman. The woman, shot in the face, was rushed to hospital where she fought for her life. Diddy and J-Lo were detained after a gun was found in their car as they left the nightclub.
Gun was discovered in the vehicle. At that point, a sergeant on the scene ordered everyone who was in the vehicle under arrest. The officer quotes Lopez as saying, "It's not my gun."
Police charged Sean Puffy Combs and Jennifer Lopez with felony gun possession.
The vehicle was stopped because it was fleeing the scene and because it jumped a set of red lights. The gun was found lying in the car and was identified as one that had been reported stolen in Georgia, and none of the 4 occupants of the car had a license for the gun. However, in 2001, a Manhattan jury acquitted the hip-hop mogul of all charges brought against him, which included 4 counts of illegal possession of a gun and 1 count of bribery. But this is where the story gets a little more interesting. Shine, who was Diddy's protege, was found guilty of 5 of the 8 charges against him. As it turns out, one of the victims of Diddy's shooting has been trying to tell the world that the music mogul shot her for years. However, her testimony has fallen on deaf ears for over 2 decades.
Yeah, and you have said since really right after the shooting that it was P. Diddy who shot you.
I said it immediately. I literally watched them pull out the guns. I've had a clear point of view. I mean, for God's sake, I got shot in my nose.
Rapper Shine has also maintained that Diddy threw him under the bus. According to Shine, Diddy's legal team called a witness to the stand to testify against him.
It's not a matter of, turning your back on me. Like, how do you call a witness to testify against your comrade?
The witness that Shine was talking about was Charisse Myers, a bouncer at the nightclub. According to Myers, when the shooting started, she fell on top of Diddy, and the music mogul didn't have a gun with him at the club. However, what she said next drove the last nail in Shine's coffin.
But even as her testimony helped exonerate Puffy, it implicated Shine. Myers told jurors that it was Shine who first opened fire inside the club, letting off 2 shots toward the ceiling. Shine's lawyers conceded that their client fired his gun, but only in self-defense.
Diddy has long maintained that he didn't throw Cheyenne under the bus.
I did not force anybody or tell anybody to say anything that would damage or hurt Shine's case.
And now the case may be reopened. Will Diddy finally serve his time for these crimes? Only time will tell. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this video, click on the boxes playing on your screen to watch similar content.